We are on the cusp of a major social change. Do you feel it? Even if you don't, make no mistake, change is coming, and it is going to be unforgettable. I'm your host, Dr. Sarah Hart, and here on Prime Spark, where we work with and on behalf of women over 55, I want to help you find that spark that will ignite your way forward, reflect your gifts to the world, and illuminate your path through this next stage of life. Through these podcast conversations, I hope to inspire you to see how you can make a significant contribution to some of the gnarly problems that are facing us right now. Join me, and together let's discover our prime spark. Hi, I'm Sarah Hart, and I'm so happy you're here with us. Prime Spark is designed for women over 50 or close, with a goal to help us all live our happiest, most fulfilling, and productive lives now and in the future. That's a big mission, which only means we all need to be involved and we need to get going now. And today I have the pleasure of talking with Amy Powell, a woman whose work I admire. Amy Powell is the mother of two, a hiker and backpacker, coach, and conscious business consultant. Always on the move, she has transitioned from Missouri to Arizona to California to Australia to Oregon and finally back to Missouri. As an executive coach, Amy has helped over 1,000 leaders navigate careers in organizations of more than 40,000 people. She developed the group coaching program Women on the Move, now Women on the Rise, and has run the program for 15 years. Her book, Rise Like a Woman, is largely based on that program. A passionate supporter of international women in the St. Louis region, Amy has partnered with International Mentoring St. Louis to develop a two-part program called International Women on the Rise that supports women who are new to the U.S. to find jobs and thrive in their careers. Welcome, Amy. I'm so happy you're here with us.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here, Sarah.
So just in getting started, let me ask you, do you experience getting older? And if you do, what is that experience? And if you don't, why is it that you think that you don't?
Okay. I would have to say that I am beginning to experience getting older, whereas I do think that many women start sooner. But I have just lived a really busy life with lots of change, lots of things going on. So I don't focus very much on myself. I'm always focusing on what I've got to do and who I want to help, and so those things. So I would say that right now I am experiencing through changes in my body, definitely some things that don't work the way that they used to, but I try not to focus on it too much.
That's wonderful, Amy. I've interviewed so many women at this point, and so many of them say, well, I'm experiencing changes in my body like most of us do. But other than that, no, I, I don't really. I don't
Mhm.
really. And so that's just a very, very common reaction from women. So I'm interested, Amy, you wrote your first book fairly late in life. What would you recommend to other women who are considering doing the same? Should they go ahead?
Well, the short answer is yes, they should for sure. I will say that I wish that I'd written this book 10 years ago, because I was thinking about it, and just the discomfort of thinking about it and not doing it was made gave me a few years that I was just like, I'm never going to get to this. And I'm really thrilled that I finally did. It is one less thing that I will say on my deathbed, oh, I never got to write that book. So I'm really, really glad that I did it. My advice for women who are thinking of writing a book late in life, they've probably been putting it off. Similarly to me, they've been probably been putting it off because of fear of putting things out there. There's many, many reasons why we put these things off. But what I would say is that that it's really important to get clear about your why. Why do you want to write this book? And once you get clear about that, some of the fear will go away because you realize that it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be great literature. In my case, I needed to feel like it was going to help somebody. It was actually going to make a difference in somebody else's life. And that was what was important. And the other piece of advice I would give is that it's really valuable to get help when doing this. When I was younger, I thought I had to do it alone. And there's not many things in life that are worth doing that can be done alone. And writing a book is one of them. So I would say get help through either coaching or classes or writing groups. If I had tried to do it alone, it would never have happened.
I think that's great advice, Amy. I've written some books and I would say the same thing that if I had tried to do it on my own, those books would not exist. You can't, it's one of those things that you just, if nothing else, you need a cheerleader.
Mhm.
I think you need more than that, but if nothing else, you need a cheerleader because there's so many times you think, why am I doing this? This is hard to do. Nobody wants to read this. I mean, this is such an ego trip. I mean, on that yada 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 yada, and we need somebody continuing to cheer us on, and that's really interesting. So, yes, it's important for when women really want to write the book, write it so that
Yes.
you don't wish 10 years later you had done it. And think of the number of women who didn't get your help for the 10 years while
Yeah. 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 I think that's very, very powerful. Yeah.
and that goes very closely into your why. Why do you want to do it? If it has anything to do with helping others, then get it out.
Yes.
Okay, so it seems Rise Like a Woman seems aimed at younger women leaders or younger women. Are there things that are also important for older women uh,
Mhm.
to take in from the book?
Well, I have to admit that I didn't write it with older women in mind. I was really thinking about those women that maybe were in their 40s and really at that point where they could either stay where they are in their career or they could actually go for it, you know. So that's who I aimed it for. But what I will say is that I've gotten a lot of great feedback from older women who have read the book. And there's one that was a recent email that I got from a woman that I actually don't know. Um, and she told me how much she had gotten from it. She did a lot of the exercises in the book that kind of put her in a position so that when she got to this chapter called Rise with Intentional Connection, she got really inspired because she wanted to explore a nonprofit organization that she felt really drawn to. And in this case, it was an organization that worked in the area of suicide prevention, which was a real passion of hers. So she did a deep dive at that point in reading the book. She stopped and did a deep dive into their work. And then she contacted somebody on their board. And the very next day, he contacted her back and set up a Zoom call with her. Um, about how she could become part of this organization, part of leading this organization. And she was so excited. And often, you know, finding something that is deeply rewarding to us is only an email or a Zoom call away. And we should remember that. And it is true at any age. It's true when you're young and it's true when you're older.
Yeah, I think so, Amy. And the exercises that they talk about identifying your strengths, clarifying values, defining what you want to stand for. Those are important at any age,
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
Um, uh,
Yeah.
and is that the feedback you've gotten?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. So I think that that the strengths and the values and the passions, doing those kinds of exercises so that you get really clear about what your strengths are, which a lot of us haven't stopped to do along the way. You get really clear about what your values are. And doing anything that aligns with our values is so much more rewarding. And then you get clear about what your passions are, what makes your heart beat faster, and what gives you excitement, what makes you feel alive. And so those are all the building blocks of figuring out what you want to stand for. Now, whether it's at work, whether it's in another aspect of your life, they are the building blocks of figuring out what you want to stand for. Your purpose takes a little bit of work. It doesn't just pop up over your head like a bubble in a comic book going, wowza, it doesn't happen like that. It all takes work. And so I work on these things all the time. And then it's really after you've got that clarity about what you want to stand for, then it's about having the courage, the intentional connection, and taking action. So that's more work, more work for us to do. But I think it is so worth it. And I think that the questions are around courage are how do I step up to do what needs to be done? Because how often do we sit and think we see what needs to be done and wonder why no one is doing it? So it's like it's that stepping up. What needs to be done, and can I do it? How can I be open and vulnerable with others so that we can connect more deeply? And how can I speak up when I see something that isn't right? I and I say what needs to be said. Uh, so one of those points, that point of connection for older people, there's so much research out there that says it makes all the difference in a life well lived, is the quality of our connections. And all of this is part of what Brené Brown calls wholeheartedness. I believe that we can, no matter where we are in life, we can start now because the past is behind us. The future is unknowable, but we have now, and we can start that path of being wholehearted through some small action now.
That's really good, Amy. That's so inspiring. I mean, I agree with you absolutely. And one of the things, along with connection, that is so important for has been found to be so important for older women, for older people. But I work solely with women, so I can constantly say older women. Um, is is to have meaning in your life.
Yeah.
Why am I getting up in the morning?
Yeah.
What difference do I make? And at some point in life, it's very easy for us to not feel useful anymore. And I think from women I speak with, I think that one of the huge times is when all of our children leave.
Mm-hmm.
For those women who a lot of their identity was with being a mother, it's not that you're not a mother anymore. It's just that you're not needed in the same way.
And you aren't in the same way,
No,
but you're needed in a new way.
right. Right.
And that takes some accepting to realize that they aren't ever going to need to sit on your lap again.
Hopefully.
That's right.
Once my mother told me, if you ever wanted to come home and live here, I would immediately call a psychiatrist because I would know something deeply was wrong with you.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, so women can feel that way if they if having had children and that was a big part of their life and their identity, but also for a lot of women, their career
Mhm,
is a lot of who I am.
mhm,
And so when that begins to not take center stage like it did because, oh, you've been downsized, you've been outplaced, you've been in one way or another, even if that hasn't happened, you have felt that you are being set aside.
mhm.
That's a huge ego, and not just ego, but who am I? That's a real punch in that.
Yeah. And
So,
that's the danger of defining yourself by, anything that is egoic, like the way you look, the way you can lift weights, so how strong you are, how smart you are, all of those things they are kind of what we are on the outside. But I actually believe that um, that growing older is kind of a spiritual opportunity for all of us to let go of needing other people to see us and need us in a certain way, and to realize that our worth is there inside of us. And it was always there. But we got so busy with and so caught up with doing and pleasing and trying to look great and be great. And it forces us to realize that our worth is something else. And it is something internal. It's something that I would call my God within. It's something inside of me. And that you don't ever have to give up. You don't ever have to give up being a kind and caring person. And so, yeah, that's what I would say. I think it's actually an opportunity for us if we can look at it that way.
oh, I love that. I love that. And, when you say about when we had been referring to the external proof from career, but that's also sort of true for women who have gotten it from being a mother,
Yes.
because there's a lot of social proof in that too.
Mhm.
And so anyway, and also from what you were saying, I also think that we have lived so many years caring what other people think and caring for other people.
Yes.
So much of our time has been taking care of, taking care of, taking care of. What
Mhm.
about taking care of me?
Mhm.
Who am I in all of this?
And what do I want?
And
What
what
do
do I
I
want?
want? It is so hard. I ask women that question all the time, and you just see this deer in the headlights look come over their face when you ask them, what do you want? And it's kind of like, I don't know. I've never thought about it. Never stopped to think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
So, what do you hear, Amy, from colleagues or clients about the experience they have of, or of yourself, of living as an older woman in our society?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that I feel like starting in when I and my friends were all in our 50s, that was the first time that they realized that something had changed because they felt invisible. They felt like people looked right through them. and that they would walk down the street and people wouldn't look at them, and they felt like completely ignored. And then I think you kind of get used to that and work with it, you know. But that's what I do hear women say a lot. And I guess what I would say to them is that means it's time for you to learn to initiate that connection with other people, even if you're an introvert. And I understand that it's harder for introverts, but look people in the eyes when you're on the street or in a store or a shop or something. Look them in the eyes, see them, and notice them. I love your earrings. I love I love your smile, something like that. And it's like we need to be the one who sees others at this point in life. And that is the most remarkable thing, because what it does is it feels good to us to do that. We aren't expecting that, but it does. It feels good, especially when you see them light up, especially when you see that they hear what you're saying, and and then they will be more connected and kinder to you. That's just inevitable. It will always happen. So that's what I tell women is when they feel invisible, that's time to see others.
I love that, Amy. I have never heard anybody say that. And I've heard a lot of women talk about feeling invisible and overlooked. And to step up and become visible
Mhm.
and to really see other people. Because if we really see other people, likely they're going to see us.
That is exactly right. That is exactly what happens.
So rather than just learning to deal with being invisible, step forward and become visible.
That's right.
I love that. I love that. I'm going to try that the next time I'm standing at a counter and the salesperson seems to be waiting on everybody, but and not purposely not waiting on me. It's sort of like not seeing me.
Hmm.
I'm going to not let that happen again. I'm going to become visible, and you don't have to get nasty about it. You just, here, hi,
You say hello and you say, and you
hello.
see them. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Amy, you've done so many things in your life. What? Tell me what three of the things you've done that you're proudest of.
Ah, well, I would have to say that I don't feel inordinately proud of anything, any one thing or three things that I have done in my life. And I don't know what that says about me. It probably says something. But I do feel really proud of some of the qualities that I have brought to my life and learned during my life. And so I'd say that the first quality would be the quality of resilience. Because, like anybody, shit has happened to me. And there have been really hard things that have happened that I thought were going to knock me over completely. And I am proud of myself that I allowed myself to feel the pain of that moment fully, a moment that might turn into a year. It's not always just a moment, but and then find a way to move forward and to learn from that. Because I mean, honestly, what's the point of pain if we don't learn anything? So, so yeah, that's one of them is resilience. So I feel like I have lived a resilient life. And the second one would be reinvention, which kind of connects with resilience a little bit. But it's like there have been several times in my life when I've had to reinvent myself, and that, like when I've had to start over a few times. And sometimes it's because I chose to, and sometimes it's because I had to. But I think people used to marvel about this. This really tells my age, is that we marveled about Madonna and how Madonna always changed her image. You know, it's like, what image will she have this year? So I feel a bit like Madonna, except that it's not my image that I'm changing. It's actually that I'm changing myself. And so that would be one of the things I'm proud of. So resilience and reinvention. And then the thing that kind of surprises me is I feel like over time in my life, I have built up this amazing capacity for love. And it's kind of embarrassing to say that. It's a love is not a word that, you know, you go around throwing around, but I've expanded this from when I was young. I was a real kind of, you know, get the job done, task driven, don't want to talk on Monday morning. You know, that was kind of what I was like. And now I am just a big marshmallow. And I would say that my love for my children is just like drives me to tears. My love for my friends. I would have to say that my any success that I have had in business has come because I love my clients. I love them as people. I love the people I coach, the people that I work with. And even as kind of like what I was talking about earlier, even sometimes the people that I just walk past on the street, you know, sometimes I'll just be shocked by this feeling of love that I have for this person. And it's just like, whoa, where did that come from? It hasn't always been there, but it is maybe one of the benefits for me anyway of growing older. Sometimes my heart just aches with love for all of these people.
Oh, that's lovely.
Mhm.
So I want to go back for a second to your second one,
Mhm.
when you reinvent yourself.
Mhm.
I have a sense that you're not just talking about reinventing your career path.
No, no, you're right. Well, I mean, reinventing comes when you move, when you like, I had a very privileged lifestyle. I used to live in Australia and used to live on the water, and then something happened. I won't go into it, but I lost everything. And I was down to, after that home was sold, I was down to like my last $10,000. And that had to go into putting down a deposit on a rental place. And I still had two children at home then. So it was like, okay, now I have to reinvent myself to be a different kind of person. Or at least not expecting anything or being privileged like I had felt perhaps in the past. And so that's kind of one form of reinvention that comes from something happening that is bad. And then there were reinventions that came from moving to other places. Often they were attached to a move, and that I wouldn't be able to do the same kind of work in the new place. So I had to find a way to support myself, to make a living. And so there was a lot of that. And then there has been throughout my life, anybody who knows me well will see that I have had I've been on a spiritual path. It is probably not a traditional spiritual path. I don't even have a name for it, but it is about learning to trust what is inside of me and to learning to get the answers that I need. So to tap into that. Yeah.
That's lovely, Amy.
Thank you.
So you've said so many important things. So of the things that you know now, when not for a long time yet, but when you leave this earth, what would you like to be remembered for?
Mhm. Okay. I think that it is probably that I would like to be remembered for the impact that I've had. And and I feel like I've been so lucky to have worked in, training and teaching and coaching and consulting, because that gives you this wonderful opportunity to magnify your impact. So when I'm sitting and coaching one person, yes, I'm coaching that person. I'm trying to help him or her be a better leader. Now, immediately, if that works, that impacts 10 people that report to this person. It also impacts their colleagues, the people that they work with. If they have a public facing position, there's another opportunity for them to magnify their impact by talking about what they're doing. And I love that we all have that opportunity to have that impact magnified when we work with other people. And I think that I don't feel like I need to even know. I don't even need to know. It would be fun to know, but I don't need to know. I just know that I had some small role in impacting their lives and then the lives of other people. So I'm hoping that over the course of my life, that means that I've impacted 100,000 people, in some way. So
That is very likely, Amy, with the number of people that you have coached, because yeah, as you're speaking, I have this visual of ripples.
yeah,
No, like a stone goes in the water, and you just don't know where the ripples go or how far out they go, or you don't know.
and once in a while you get lucky and somebody tells you, you made a difference to me,
Right.
but you don't, most of the time you would have no idea. Yeah.
I think that's something that's so important for oneself to do and encourage other people to do. If somebody has made a difference to you, tell them,
Yes.
because we're much more likely to tell somebody if we don't like what they've done
Yeah.
than if we do like what they've done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's sad.
That is sad, and it is very important. It's a principle of leadership, is that you need to tell people what they've done right.
That
And
they've done right. Yes. Oh, Amy, this is so good. I can imagine people are going to want to get in touch with you. If they do, how can they contact you?
okay, well, you can either email me at my work address, which is Amy Powell, AMYPOWELL, at business on purpose.com. So that's the name of my business, Business on Purpose. You can connect with me on LinkedIn also, and that is also Amy Powell, Business on Purpose, without the dashes, but Amy Powell, Business on Purpose. And then the other thing is, I would really like to encourage people to have a look at my book, Rise Like a Woman. It is out, it is available on Amazon, and there's a lot of information in the back of the book about how they can contact me as well.
Oh, super. Okay, super. Well, thank you, Amy. Thank you so much. That was very, very good.
Thank you, Sarah.
So that's our time today. Please join us again. You can find our Prime Spark podcast on every popular outlet. You can find more about Prime Spark at primesparkwomen.com. Again, thank you so much to my guest, Amy Powell. And don't forget, you can find her a lot of places. I looked her up at businessonpurpose.com. I found
You
really easy.
left that one out.
Yeah, no dashes, businessonpurpose.com.
Okay.
So that's what I did, and it was really
Okay.
easy.
Okay.
So thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Amy. Spread tolerance and love. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode and would like to stay updated, you can head over to my website, primesparkwomen.com, and get my free Spark Guide, 7 Questions to Ignite Your Spark, to help you discover your own spark. See you in the next episode.